Have you ever wondered what your hands, heart, and intuition might reveal about your life? Welcome to Live Soul Readings, Hands, Hearts, and Higher Guidance with Cynthia Clark and Megan Brown. Each week we explore meaningful themes, answer heartfelt questions, and offer live soul readings, intuitive messages, and higher guidance to bring greater clarity to your relationships, purpose, healing, and next steps. Want a chance to be featured live? Submit your hand photos and questions in advance. And join us every Saturday at 10 a.m. Arizona time. Because sometimes the guidance you've been seeking has been waiting for you all along.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's show. We are going to be talking about spiritual awakenings, which is always a fun topic because everybody has their own experience, and one way is not better or worse or right or wrong. It's just kind of interesting to see the parallels that happen and also the things that are completely different, right? So I think we're gonna first go over to
Okay,
Megan.
you're completely frozen. Just FYI, I don't know if you can hear me.
Oh yeah, I can.
Everybody, there is technical difficulty going on. Did it? Oh, you got corrected? Okay, I was just explaining there's technical difficulty going on.
Oh yeah. I want to also just preface everyone, if we lose today's show, my power has been going out a lot at my house and I don't know why. So we lost it for 4 hours last night. So we're going to do the best we can and let's knock on wood that we get to record a whole show. So Megan, yeah, let's go ahead and start with you. And why don't you just talk about, because you had quite an awakening. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Tell us your story.
Okay. So I had grown up Roman Catholic, and then at age 20, I decided I was an atheist because of my rape situation. And I thought there could be no God. This is all just, why would a God allow something like this to take place? And it's undeserved and so on and so forth. So I went through all of these different, thoughts in my mind. So for 18 years, there's nothing until I thought everything was great. I was in tip top, everything in my life. And it all started with C. diff colitis from an antibiotic. Then, long story short, I get pulled into heaven, a place that I didn't even think existed. And the only person waiting for me was Jesus. So that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. Like, okay, where am I? Why is this happening? I'm like, if I had a watch on, I'd be, because literally I remember thinking, okay, I got to go. You guys have all been nice after my life review. You've all been great, but I really have to go. I've got a son. He needs me. I got to get back. Could you just make this thing about my health go away? I didn't know what was happening. That was the beginning of my spiritual awakening.
Wow, that's hilarious.
It is. I mean,
yeah.
It was unexpected, completely unexpected. And I kind of feel like that's how you'd have to get my attention. Just lay it on me, God. Right. So that's what happened. And I had this entire lived experience in heaven. And then I came back going, oh yeah, okay. There's something much greater that exists, and it's love. And I've just experienced it. So that changed me forever, for the rest of my life. It's really shifted me. What about you though? When did yours start?
Well, mine was definitely not nearly as dramatic as yours, because I've never had a near-death experience and actually gone to the other side. Although I did have one out-of-body experience one time, and that was actually in my early 20s when I started studying Qigong. And my Qigong teacher, she was so beautiful and so open. And, I trained with her for 5 years. And, one night I went to bed, I went to, go to sleep, and I had this sensation of leaving my body. And I ended up going like way out into space, like deep space. It was not anywhere near Earth anymore. It was like deep space. And I just had this like strange feeling like this is not a dream. And as soon as I thought that, I was back in my body.
Oh, wow.
So it happened really fast. But then I talked to my my Qigong teacher the next day, and I'm like, because we did some pretty heavy duty stuff. I can't remember exactly what we were doing, but I just know that Qigong is so powerful. It just opens stuff up and you don't know what it's doing sometimes. So anyway, she's like, oh yeah, that can happen. Yeah, you can definitely leave your body. She said it very matter of factly too. Like, oh, that's okay. Like that stuff happens all the time.
Probably does it all the time herself,
Yeah, she probably does. It was probably just another day for her. But for me at the time, I was just like, whoa. But I've had my first awakening, I would say, actually started much younger. When I was a kid, I grew up in the Mormon church, and, we're Mormons are very strict in a lot of ways. But my dad was a little bit of a rebel, because he gave me this book about Edgar Cayce. And it was Gina Sermonara. It was called Many Mansions. So for those of you who are not familiar with Edgar Cayce, he was one of the most famous psychics in the early 1900s, and he died in 1945 or 46, somewhere in there. And anyway, so the book talks about reincarnation, and it talks about how we live multiple lives. And what's even funnier is that Edgar Cayce was a very strict religious person. He was a Christian, and he didn't even believe in the stuff that he was channeling. And so they called him the sleeping prophet. So he would go into a trance state. He would go into these this altered state, right? And then he would help people with their he started out with like physical ailments. So people would come with like this disease or that problem, and he would go in and he'd actually have some cures for them. And pretty soon he became extremely famous through these readings. And then when he turned the opposite way, he did these life readings, and that's when he tapped into the past lives. So I found the whole thing extremely fascinating, and I think it just opened me up to, wow, there's so much more than we're being told or taught. Nobody else was talking about this, of course, in my little Mormon world. It just wasn't a thing, right? So anyway, that's kind of how I got started in my path.
That's interesting. I know that in my Catholic world, when I was growing up, you had your Mormon world. We were contained, right? We were in these compartments. And what I know is we did not discuss reincarnation. We did not discuss any sort of thing around past lives. And when I was in heaven, God looked at me and I asked him, I go, why has my life been so difficult? And he said, because you chose 3 lives in one. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And that's when I was informed that reincarnation exists. I'm going, wait, what? Why is this? What is this? I don't get it. But yeah, that's when I found out about reincarnation during my NDE. I didn't know anything about it before, but I think it's interesting how being compartmentalized that you see this like freedom. When I'm listening to you tell the story, it's almost like there's a freedom in being open to another's perspective who's bringing in these messages, basically of love. That's what he was doing. He's channeling love, right? I mean, that's how
for sure.
And you connected with it. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah. Well, and I loved reading when I was young. So I never could get enough books to read. I just, when I first learned how to read, I was so excited because it just opened up this whole new world, and the universe was suddenly much bigger than I thought it was. So that was exciting. But then I looked at the religion I was in, and I really started to feel like, I don't know that I belong here. I don't know that I really fit in this compartment, right? Because I started seeing it as a box, as a restriction, and it was very patriarchal. So women were definitely considered lesser than men, and they couldn't do this or that. And, I just got so frustrated with that because in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm just as good as a boy, you know? Like, why are they better? Why do they get to do everything? To me, it just didn't make any sense. And, years later, right? So now that I am a hand reader and I know how to read different markings and I can understand psychology through the hands and things like that, there is a marker that I happen to have that totally explains why I was so different and didn't fit in with everyone else. And it's actually in your headline, by the way. So the headline is the one that goes across the middle part of your hand, and it represents the way that you think. Okay, so I would say in a little less than 20% of the population, so go ahead and take a look at your own hand right now, is it connected to your lifeline at the beginning? Okay, so mine is completely separated. Okay, so if the headline is separated, that is an indication that you are an independent thinker and you came in very independent thinking. So to me, it now makes perfect sense. Like, why did I not just go along with the crowd? Plus I'm a fire hand, which fire is also quite fiercely independent and freedom oriented. So it makes sense to me.
Now, sense to you is what you're saying. Now it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, now it makes sense. Everything fits together. It's totally makes sense.
I've met so many people over the years who just never felt like they fit in. And so I wonder what their hands were saying. I know that I didn't, growing up, I didn't feel like I fit in. I mean, I was growing up on a farm on 5 acres with wall around me, and outside of my world was, a different life. I mean, I'd go outside and there were my chickens and my donkey and like all these things. And then I'd go to school and it was all this, oh, we're going to do plays. And then these fancy cars are coming to pick up their children. And I'm thinking, all right, well, gotta go back to my donkey in life.
Yeah.
It was like the puzzle pieces of life. How do they fit together? That's kind of how I felt.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we're getting some comments coming in, so I just want to address those.
Yeah.
So hi, Namira, good to see you. She wants to get a guidance message. Okay, yes, stay tuned for that. We'll be coming up to that here in a little bit. And then we have Jess Horse Fire is welcome. This is your first time here, so welcome. And then how did the soul readings work? Okay, so we would love to share with you how that works. So we do different types of readings, right? So for the Q&A part of our show, what I do is I will pull a palmistry tarot card for you, and you can ask your question if you want, and I'll pull a card for you. And we'll talk about how it shows up in your hands, if it does show up in your hands. And Megan will tune into the messages from heaven, and she'll give you a spiritual message. So that's how it works. But we like to just kind of talk a little bit before we get into the questions. We like to talk about a different theme that's related to spirituality and helping you with your progress in your life. So spiritual awakenings is our topic for this week. And definitely we would love to, you're welcome to type in the comments if you've had a spiritual awakening and what has happened for you. We would be interested in hearing. And we also have I'm going to pull this up. We have a new opt-in for everybody if they're interested in getting our new offering. So it's called 5 Questions to Trust What You Already Know. And you can just scan the QR code that I just put up at the top of the screen. So yeah, just scan that code and you can get started with your free guide. Also, we're talking about spiritual awakening. I think one of the most common ways that it comes in for people is that number 1111. So I'm just curious, Megan, did you ever see number patterns, or did that ever start showing up for you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, every single day, this has been going on for years, I see the number 22 or 222. And so I thought, okay, well, what does this mean? This has been happening for, I think, like the past 2-3 years, every day. And it has something to do with your master number. And you would know more about that. I don't remember the specifics of it, but I thought that was very interesting. The other number that came up for me that I was born with is the number 9, indicating, I guess, the beginnings and endings. So it's interesting when I think about that. 9, so I've had a lot of beginnings in my life, and then it feels like a lot of endings, but it's also very spiritual. And the number 9 is every number. So, it's like there's so much, and then there's so much to a 9 in general for anyone, who can identify with this number, living it. And lately I have met 2 9s. I mean, individuals who were also the number 9. And there's this shared philosophy of this needing to have our space and being a part and actively wanting to help others, and but then be alone. Does that make sense? I mean, the numbers better than I do. So yeah. I don't know. I thought that was fascinating to see the similarities there. So.
Yeah, numbers definitely show up for me a lot as well. So 22 is a master number, like you were saying. It represents the master builder. So building a connection, right? So how I see it for you, especially 222, is a relationship number. So how I view you is that you're building a relationship with heaven, and you're the bridge to bring it forward to the person. So that's an aspect of the master builder, right? Mm-hmm. So you're bridging the messages of love to each individual that you work with, which is a beautiful pathway. But yeah, so Namira says she sees 1111. Okay, so that's the one that a lot of people start seeing when they first start awakening, is 1111 or 111. Of course, that represents the number of new beginnings, right? So 1111 is like you're waking up. There's a new beginning. Open your eyes, open your mind, open your heart. And let's see, Namir is also getting 1515. Okay, now you could read that as a 6, right? 6 is the number of service. But you could also read them as individually 1 and 5. So awakening to change, because 5 is the number of change. Okay, so that's kind of how I would probably read that one. Yeah, but everybody has these different numbers that come in. It's fine.
I'd also like to add on that 1515, because that adds up to a 12, which is a 3. And so the 3, this is the other number that I work with. The 3 is the number of the entire universe. So the top of the number 3 represents science, the middle represents math, and the bottom represents music. So without science, there can be no math, and without math, there can be no music. So it's interesting because the number 3 is threaded throughout the universe and all of us. And so that's how I like to break down numbers. So I think that's very that's very interesting that, she's getting a 15-15 and 2 6s,
Yeah.
and the number 3 is so significant. So,
yeah, absolutely. All the numbers have special meaning, and sometimes numbers can also have special meanings for you specifically too. So, I'm just kind of giving you the general of what they mean. But yeah, you could have a number that's very specific to you. For example, I saw the number 717 about 5 to 10 times a day after I moved to Sedona. And I'm like, what? I had never seen that number before. I didn't know anything about it. It was, and it would come in variations. So sometimes it would be 177, 771, 717. That's how it showed up. So I'm like, okay, 2 7s and a 1. What is up with this? So anyway, I learned that the 7 actually represents, it's my life path number. So in my birthday, I'm a 7, which is the number for spirituality. And it also represents the 7 aspects of ascension. So how are we evolving and growing, and how can we do that? So I was given these 7 aspects to share and teach. And then 17 was the number of the timeline of ascension. So I was told that the end of the Mayan calendar, which everybody, thought was going to be the end of the world, was in 2012, December 21st, 2012. And the guidance is that it was just marking the end of a cycle of time. It was marking the end of a great year. So that was 25,920 years. And of course, the Mayans were very good at telling time. So we were starting a new cycle right after that. But we needed to add 17 years to that number to show the transition period. So things don't just happen instantly. Usually there's a integration period, right? So this is why I feel like a lot of people are awakening right now, is because we're in the middle of this integration period. So if you take 2012 plus 17 years, you get 2029. And so we're approaching the end of the integration period for spiritual growth. So that's how I learned about these numbers.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to take your questions here in just a little bit. But first, I just want to mention that we have a couple of classes that we want to share with you. So Megan has a class coming up, and it is called Who Did You Have to Become? And so if you're interested in her class, why don't we just have Megan talk a little bit about it?
Okay, thank you. So who did you have to become? So using you and I as the example here, you had to become a certain way in the Mormon upbringing. I had to become a certain way in the Mormon upbringing, in the Catholic upbringing. And so these are just 2 examples. Okay, there are many different ways in how we had to become who we were supposed to become. But what I found after my NDE was that love was never understood. And this was so transparent to me after what I experienced, that I have put together a course that explains what was actually happening. It's so involved, and it's so it's not something that nobody can understand. I mean, everybody can understand this. When you start getting the pieces of love and what it is, then you realize that you don't have to be anything other than who you already are. So anyway, I love doing this course, and people, when they get to the end of it, they're like, how did you? And I say, heaven, this is what I learned, and this is what I want everybody to learn. So
sounds exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, anybody interested, just go to conversationswithmegan.com/event-list. All right. And I also have a brand new class that I just completed, and it's called the Inner Knowing Experience. So I started this membership that I call Soul Compass, and it basically takes the last 20 years of my trainings and it puts it into an application that you can use. And so, because hands are complicated and palm portals are complicated, right? So you have one portal that's connected to each finger. Okay, so to make it really easy, I started with just one portal. It's called left Jupiter. It's your left index finger. That's your portal of inner strength and self-knowledge. So to really see yourself and know yourself, you need to understand how to work with left Jupiter. So this class actually takes you through 3 days of that. And you start out with how to see yourself differently, how to trust yourself more deeply, and then how can you choose a different way to really just go into that inner knowing so that you can actually choose for yourself what's in alignment for you. So if you're interested, that is my new little course. So yeah, super fun. So we are going to be taking questions now. I think we'll start out with a collective question based upon our topic, since we're talking about spiritual awakening. And I'm just going to first pull a card while you guys are thinking of a question, and you can type your questions into the comments. And I'll just start out with pulling a group card for everybody, and we'll see what is the general message that everyone needs to hear in their own spiritual awakening. So what's going to help you? What do you need to know about right now to help you with your next steps? All right. And I used my own deck that I created called the Palmistry Tarot deck. So this is a really cool deck because it uses crystals, it uses hands, and it also ties in with the tarot. Okay, so the card coming up is the inverted strength card. Okay, so basically this is saying it's time for you to go inward and actually tune into those higher messages. So if you're distracted, if you have all these, if you're just scrolling, for example, social media scrolling, that's not going to help you, right? You need to set some time aside and you need to go inward with your own voice, your own inner knowing, and eliminate the distractions. Okay, because the power is actually within you. It's within each of us, right? So if you're a religious person, for example, you might read your religious text, but then go inward and actually tune in. Well, what does it mean to you? How does it serve you? How does it apply to you? And the same goes with your awakening. How does, like the messages that we're giving you today, how does this apply specifically to you so that you can take your next steps? Okay.
Well, I heard a message before you started. Today's message is about sharing. I've been working on this book for a while now. And I asked, what is the greatest sin? Because I grew up Catholic. So there's the 10 Commandments. And so I thought, okay, which is it? And then the Judaism has 623 and I don't know how many throughout the world. And I heard loud and clear, the greatest sin is to not love yourself. So that goes hand in hand with the card that you just pulled, because the inner strength is the love of who you are. That is who you are. Just be it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's such a good point because I call it the not self. We have the self and the not self, and the not self is the judgmental, nitpicky, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, that basically all the things that is the opposite of what you were just talking about. So love is what you are. That's so true.
Yes.
So just remember that. All right. Well, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and type it into the comments, and we will pull a card for you and we'll answer your question. But yeah, so talking about spiritual awakenings, you know, and I would say too, like some people think, well, do spiritual awakenings ever end? And I would say probably not.
I would agree with you, because every day is an awakening. Every day you get out of bed. You don't know what's going to happen in your day. That's an awakening. Like, how are you going to move through your day energetically? How are you going to show up for what is occurring in your life or in the life around you? That is an awakening. And there are moments, I thought about this earlier. I'm glad you put it like this. There are moments where you just graduate within yourself of knowing something differently, and it hits you differently. Like, you really know it. It's not even a question any longer, you know? So that's an awakening as well.
Absolutely. So, and you can be open to new experiences and new awakenings every day. You know, I love to sometimes be surprised by the universe. You know, we had this gorgeous rainbow just over our house the other day, and I was, you know, we were eating dinner and it was like late afternoon, early evening, and then the sunset started showing up kind of like in the background of this this live stream. Like, it was beautiful like that, right? But there was this gorgeous rainbow. And so I immediately stopped eating. I'm like rushing out with my phone. I'm like, I got to take a picture of this.
Yeah.
Because that's the magic, right? The magic of life. So when you're open to that and then it just makes you aware, like, wow, look at this amazing, beautiful scene. And it just makes you realize how big the universe is and how loved you are from the universe. And it was just like a big hug is what it felt like. It's like, we love you so much. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful.
Oh, it is so beautiful. I was actually looking at like the rain pattern the other day, and I thought of, you know, like you, and I thought, oh, well, she's got those rocks in the background. I bet there's a rainbow there. And you did have it. That's so cool, because I know they're so beautiful there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay, well, it looks like we got a question coming in from Judy Graybill.
Okay.
So let me pull that up here on screen. Okay, so she says, I resonate deeply with the collective messages you shared. Okay, thank you. I'm going through a personal challenge that requires me to pull from my inner strength and love to elevate myself to my next phase of life. Okay, well, Judy, we definitely feel for you, and sometimes life does bring in some challenges. So let me go ahead and pull a card for you on that question, and Megan will tune in as well, and we'll get an answer here for you. All right, so the card coming up for you is Transformer. Okay, so this is the beautiful card of the woman going through the doorway, and on the other side is her beautiful soul. And I mean, this is the card of spiritual awakening, if I've ever seen one.
Wow.
Yeah, this is this is the card. This is exactly right. So you are going through this challenge, but you are going to get through it. That's what this card is saying. So just hang on for the ride. Trust in the path that you're on. Know that you're going in the right direction. And the universe totally supports you and knows exactly what you need right now. So just continue to love yourself through the entire process.
Absolutely. And I will share a story that I don't normally talk about, but there was an out-of-body experience that I had, and they want me to share this with you, Judy. This is why I'm sharing it now. So one night I was pulled up into the Grand Canyon in the center, and I'm standing on just this little piece of the earth in the center of the Grand Canyon with Archangel Michael. Now, this is not uncommon for me. So if you knew my story, if you know anything about my story, this happened hundreds of times after my NDE. And this particular evening, when this happened, we were having this conversation, and I wasn't allowed to remember the specifics of that conversation, but I remember this very well. He said, "Megan, do you trust me?" And I said, "Absolutely." He just went, pushed me over the edge. And as I was falling face down, going toward the Colorado River, I kept asking, why? Why did he just push me? Wait, I'm not afraid of dying. I've already had my near-death experience. What is happening? Why? And it wasn't until 3 feet above the Colorado River when I stopped asking why. And that moment is pivotal, because that's when the clarity comes in. So right now, you are to just stop asking why this is happening, or why did this, blah, 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 or what is the purpose here? So the purpose is for you to step into that next level of yourself, which it sounds like you already know that you're doing, okay, because that is what's happening. But don't ask why, or you won't see with clarity everything else around it, because it's not just about this one thing, this one experience or circumstance. It's about the entirety of your life that's all being threaded into this one thing. So I hope that helps. I hope you understand. If you have another question, please just ask.
Okay. So yes, feel free to scan the QR code up at the top of the screen if you want to get your free guide. And this is 5 questions to help you trust what you already know. And if we don't have any other questions, Megan and I are going to be signing off for the week. But yeah, any last messages about spiritual awakening that we didn't talk about, Megan?
All I can say is just go for it, because like what Judy just shared, that's a spiritual awakening. That's happening. And spiritual awakenings come through unfortunate circumstances or traumas as well. And they're not to punish us. They're not to stop us. They are to help us expand and break out of our comfort zones. So a spiritual awakening is, there's a butterfly out in front of the window just now. So,
wow, that's just like the Transformer card too. That's hilarious.
Well, that's funny. But yeah, so it happens. Transformation happens. Awakenings happen, even in the toughest of times, because we are to step into the next part of what it is that we're here to find and get comfortable with, by the way. That's a whole other thing. I talk about all of this in this next book that I'm writing, but I'm telling you, just be at peace with what's happening in your life. Be at peace, because it's all about love. I promise. Everything is about love.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And Judy says, nice, I believe that too, and truly appreciate the confirmation. You're dead on with the story. Makes perfect sense. Thank you. Okay, well, you're welcome, Judy. Yeah, thanks for coming on the show today. And yeah, my last message for spiritual awakening is just be open and just keep tuning into yourself. Keep tuning into the messages that are meant for you. Pay attention. I mean, that's really the thing, is pay attention to what is happening around you. Don't just be glued to your phone all day. You're going to miss a lot of life if you do that, right? Look up at the sky, look at the clouds, look at the time on the clock, pay attention to those things, because that's how the universe communicates with you. And everything is really designed for your benefit, whether we believe this or not, right? Could be a whole nother show, but everything really is designed to help you make your progress in your life. So don't forget that. And And we're here for you too. So thank you for showing up on our beautiful Saturday mornings. We love being here for you, and we love sharing what we know about life and about spirituality and about really how to step into that love energy that is you and all around you. And so until next week, we wish you a beautiful week, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, take care, everyone.